we're going to take a comfortable seat, and we'll just begin by doing some breathing exercises. So there's no absolute right or wrong about how you sit. You could be kneeling, you could be on a chair, you could be cross-legged. But the thing that is really important is if you can feel a little gentle, natural curve in your lower back, and for you to feel that you can be comfortably upright, not straining to be upright in the front body, so that your shoulders can roll back. So let's just do that, a bit of rolling back of the shoulders. If you're finding that sitting upright is laboured and in fact you're slightly slumping, then sit on something. So I've got a little yoga block, but it could be a cushion, a book, and then hopefully you'll notice that it's just a lot easier to be light and upright. So get comfortable, then find your sitting bones. I'm going to just literally stick my hands under my bum, pull the flesh from the buttocks out and back, and then you've got that nice sort of grounding down sensation through the sitting bones, real connection, downward connection. Hopefully that is even, so you're not sort of floating over to one side. And when you get that downward connection, then it's easier to sort of lift up out of that. So that's when we roll the shoulders back. And now just listen to your breath. So don't do anything at this point. Just quiet listening, observing. Observe where you feel it in the body. Maybe, very common, it's in the upper chest area. So we are going to encourage that breath to go lower into the body. So now bring your hands onto your ribs and find your lower ribs. A little poke around, find them. And keep your hands here for a moment. So without labouring it, without forcing it, without straining, just going to try and breathe into these lower ribs. And find, ideally we want to sense some lateral movement outward, so this sort of movement outward. When we breathe in and when we breathe out, the ribs sort of move back inward towards the midline. So when we breathe into these lower ribs, that is deep breathing. So deep breathing, sometimes we confuse that with a laboured breath, a hard breath, maybe a breath that makes quite a lot of noise or involves a lot of sort of upward movement of the chest. Actually, that's not deep breath, that's just a laboured breath. So we want to feel breath here. And the other thing that's really important when we're doing yoga breathing is in and out through the nose. So unless you've got cold, breathing in and out through the nose, and The reason for this is that we produce a gas called nitric oxide in the nasal cavity. We don't produce that through the nose, through the mouth, and that is really good for immunity. It's good for calming the nervous system. It's good for reducing blood pressure. So just let's take a few more breaths in and out through the nose. Into these lower ribs. Not labouring it. And finally, one other important detail, we want to slow the breath down. So, especially the out breath, because then there's more oxygen going into the blood when we slow the out breath. And especially with the production of that gas, nitric oxide, it's much greater production of nitric oxide when we slow the breath. So that's just a little introduction to optimum breathing. We do other techniques of breathing in yoga, but this is a really good basis for any yoga practice, whether you're doing meditation, whether you're doing a fast practice, a slow practice. So really try and hold those points in mind. Nasal breathing, deep into the lower ribs, slowing the breath on the out breath, and for that to feel easy, light, not strained. And if you stick with those principles, you won't go far wrong. So we're going to come up now. So I'm going to into sitting. I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to squeeze my knees, my feet, my thighs together. I'm going to come onto the heel of the feet. I'm going to drop back a little bit so that I start to feel these lower belly muscles working. And if your back's sore at all, then hands on the floor to support you, or they could be behind the thighs. So we're just kind of holding, lifting the chest, feeling these muscles knitting in from the pubic bone up into these lower ribs. So let's just hold that, and the shoulders rolling back and down. Keep breathing. Should feel a little bit hard work, but you don't want any labouring or pain in the lower back. So if this is easy for you, you can lift the feet. It's called boat pose. Full pose, actually you have your legs straight, but stick with bent legs for the moment. I'm going to have a sense of the body working a little harder, a little bit of fire in the belly. And then come down, fold over your legs, drop the head, roll a little from left to right. Relaxing the back of the body. We'll come back to boat pose. So you can stay here, hands on the floor, hands behind the thighs, or hands up. Or if maybe you want a little bit more intensity, you can straighten one leg or both legs. Or just keep a little bend in the knees, so you've got loads of options. I'm going to hold it. When I did my training, our challenge was to hold this for a minute. I'm not going to make you do that now, but if you wanted to work up to this and maybe practice it in your home, practice this. It's a really good strengthening. So notice if you're straining in the upper back, we want the chest to feel quite open and no collapsing. And then come down, fold forward. So try to find a gentle forward bend and roll a little from left to right. Let your head relax down. So we're going to make this a little bit stronger. You've got options not to, so don't go for the strongest option if you're not feeling that that's quite right for you. So we're coming back, again, hands behind the thighs, hands on the floor, hands into your parallel position. You could lift the feet, you could straighten the legs, or you could have one leg straight and one leg bent. So we're going to hold that. And then we're going to drop into low boat. So low boat, your feet in line with your eyes, and we're going to come up to high boat. So we'll do a few of these. Low boat, high boat. Try and keep the knees squeezed in. Try and keep the chest open, especially when you come up. And then we'll do some wonky, sort of like we'll roll onto the right buttock. Come up, roll onto the left buttock. And you'll notice your breath is starting to, a little stronger. The heart's beating a bit harder. And then just come up and relax. We'll take a slight variation with the forward bend. Bring the soles of the feet together. You can hold your feet, let your body fall forward. You can use your hands or your arms to gently push your knees apart. If you want a little bit stronger with this, you can weave your hands underneath your legs, hold the feet. Again, roll forward. Breathe into the back of the body. So feel those lower ribs at the back of the body moving. Now we're coming up. Gonna take a cross-legged position, and from here roll over so you're on all fours. Let's just stretch out the feet first of all. So take the right foot away. Lift the heel, lower the heel. 2. Really activate the foot so that the toes are spread. When the heel lifts, you get that stretch over the front of the foot, and then when you push the heel away, you're going to feel good stretch in the calf. And we'll just do the other leg. Just waking up the lower body. And then to just take your hands so they're as wide as the mat. In fact, the little finger, the fourth finger, can be slightly off the mat. We're going to drop down with the chest so the elbows go out wide, and we're going to sort of stretch the chest forward. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then push the floor away. Straighten up the arms around the back. Pull the shoulder blades apart. So we're going to do these movements a few times. And it's really nice for opening the upper back and sort of stretching out the upper back. So really feeling the shoulder blades move apart. Squeezing your shoulder blades together as you squeeze the chest forward. And then tuck your toes under. We're going to stretch out the feet again. So come back and rest on your heels. If you want to challenge yourself, you can lift one knee and then the other knee. And you can also maybe lift both knees and then you've got the balance. If you feel stable, hands can come to the heart. Can you stretch your heels down? Lift your heels, stretch your heels down. Bring your knees down, bring your hands down. So I want to do a little practice of the Vinyasa movement. So Vinyasa is a little sequence of movements that you take when you're doing sun salutations and sort of fast flow yoga moves. So we usually start in a plank. So you could come straight into a plank, but because I want to be certain that you're not overstraining and that you really pay attention to the detail of the movement, let's just keep the knees down for now. And it's a bending movement in the arms, so it's a little yoga press-up we're doing first of all. So a bend in the arm to lower the torso, but not too far. The shoulders are just going to drop down. And the important detail is to get the elbows squeezed in, and then the shoulders drop down. And then usually or very often you come into a upward dog. So upward dog is where you lift your chest forward and stretch it forward. Pull the belly back. And then we'll rest in a child pose. So we're going to do a few repetitions of this. So from your child pose, stretch your hands forward. And then come forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. Make sure that the elbows are nicely tucked into the body. And then you're going to drop your shoulders. So it's very strong on the shoulders and the arms. And then you're stretching your chest forward. Pull the shoulders back and down. Pull the belly up. That's really important too. And then back to child pose. So let's just try that a few times. So stretching your hands away. Feel that brilliant sort of lengthening down the arms and into the torso. Moving forward, get your shoulders lined up over your wrists, squeezing in torso with your elbows to upper arms, dropping your shoulders towards the floor, not for too long, but hold it if you can. Stretching your chest forward, belly very firmly pulling back, roll the shoulders back. Take another couple of those. And then we'll rest in a kneeling position, and if you can, tuck your toes under and spread the toes, and just give your arms a little rest, because that's quite strong in the arms. You can take this moment to really tune back into the breath, feel those lower ribs. So you've got the option here of coming into a full plank, or if you prefer and you want to be kinder to your shoulders, just keep the knees down. So we'll just do one more of those chaturanga movements. So either full plank that looks like this, and you drop a little, lift your chest forward, squeeze it forward. And then this time we'll come back to downward dog. Otherwise, you're going to be in half plank, drop down, stretch your chest forward, belly really strongly pulling back, and then back to downward dog. Walk the feet in downward dog. So if you want a stronger option, you're going to keep your knees lifted now. Otherwise, come to kneeling, and we're going to come into a side plank. So if you're doing the kneeling version, you're just going to take the right, you're going to be kneeling on the left foot, you're going to take the right foot away and come into side plank like that. If you're in a downward dog, come into a plank, you're just turning from your downward dog. And again, from whether you kneel or not, let's just come into some kind of plank, knees down or knees lifted, and dropping into the vinyasa, lifting your chest forward. You can come back to kneeling or back to downward dog, and we'll go to the other side. So it's the left side. So if you're kneeling, you're going to swivel the right foot away and come into a plank that way. If you're in downward dog, it's the right foot that you're rolling onto. Ooh. And then come back to plank, drop down to chaturanga, up to upward dog. And then we'll all come back to kneeling on the balls of the feet. So you get to stretch out. Rest your hands as well, because it's quite strong on the arms. And then we're going to come into kneeling position again. So tuck your toes under, come to downward dog. And we're walking the feet towards the hands, resting forward in a forward bend. Drop the head. And we're going to come up into a standing position. So keep a little bend in your knees and take a big, wide circle to come to standing. Hands overhead, and then bring your hands into your heart. Moving my camera back for this. So, hands into your heart. I want to do a sun salutation sequence, and within that we're going to do the vinyasa again, so you get to practice that chaturanga movement and the plank. If that feels too much, then I'll give you a gentler option. So feel free, just take the gentler option. You can build up something stronger when you're ready for that. So I recommend a little soft bend in the knees, not just to avoid any straining in the back. We're going to take the arms up overhead, big circle, and then we're going to fold it forward as we come down. We're leading with the right foot, so we're sliding the right foot away. And we can hold that for a moment, just to get that nice deep stretch. Lift the heel, lower the heel. And then bring your knees down, coming all the way up into it's called a crescent lunge. So big, strong engagement here in the belly. So pulling back, so that keeps your lower back very stable. Little bend in the arms. Open chest, lifting the chest. This back thigh, can you gently push it forward? So we're going to come down into a downward dog. Ooh, I'm moving. Take the hands down, back to downward dog. And rest here, or if you want to, come forward into a plank. And you could bring your knees down or keep them lifted. Practice that chaturanga. So if you're not very confident about this, I really, really encourage you to keep your knees down, and then you can just get the movement, perfect the movement. Then back to downward dog. We're leading with the right foot. So lift your right foot, step it forward. Here we are in a lunge. Let's just hold that lunge for a moment. If you want stronger sensation, lift the back knee. Otherwise, keep the knee down. We're coming up. Again, it's a crescent lunge. So keep breathing, lift the chest, tone the belly. Holding it here, feel the breath in the lower ribs. When you're ready, we're coming forward into forward bend. So hands down, either side of the foot. Lift that back knee. We're stepping forward. Hold down into forward bend. Come up with a little bend in the knees. Big wide circle. Bring your hands up and overhead. And then folding down again. Little bend in the knees. Into forward bend. We're stepping with the left foot, so find your version of this lunge. It doesn't necessarily have to be a huge lunge. Maybe better to have the knee not too far forward. But if you want a bigger stretch, of course, slide the foot away. And then we're going to come up again. So this time we'll take a twist, a little twist. So the arms up overhead, but we're going to take that right hand, we're just going to turn towards the right side. Keep the belly very strongly toned so that the movement comes from above the waist. Keep breathing. And then we'll come out into downward dog, so we're going to just cartwheel the hands down, step back to downward dog. You can just rest here, or if you want a little bit more, come to plank. You can just hold that plank, or if you want a little more, drop into chaturanga, up to upward dog. Remember these options, you can always do these options with your knees down. And then coming back to downward dog. We're leading with the left foot, stepping forward, so we're back in that deep lunge. And coming up. This time we're going to take our arms overhead a couple of times, find some nice comfortable circles with the arms, and then hands are coming behind. We're going to interlace the hands, pull the shoulders down, lift the chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. If you want to, you can lift the hands. If you wanted to, you could lift the back knee. Just giving you options. And releasing hands down. Step back to downward dog. Walking the feet. Remember, you can do Vinyasa. And then leading with the right foot step forward. Coming up into the lunge. This time we're taking our hands behind. Interlace them. Lift the chest. squeeze your hands together. You could lift the hands, you could lift the back knee. Keep breathing. So we're coming out, bring the hands down, step forward into forward bend. Come up, big wide circle of the arms. And folding all the way down. So we're in a forward bend. And leading with the left foot for the last little salutation. So we're going to take a twist. So we're going to lift the right hand. And we'll make that nice fluid. So we're going to take the arm around a few times. And then we're going to let that arm lead us up to upright position. So we're back in a little twist. We'll make it a little bit different from what we did earlier. We're going to bring the hands into the heart. We're going to see if we can just hook the arm over the knee. And this is, yeah, quite a lot to work on. Just so you're wanting to feel almost as though these lower ribs, you're going to take them over the knee. So with this, you can always lift the back knee as well. Make time to breathe here. And then we're releasing hands down either side of the foot. We're stepping into downward dog. And finally, if you've got the energy, take a vinyasa, knees down or knees lifted, dropping down. Up to upward dog. Pull the belly back for your last upward dog. Really pull it back. Roll your shoulders down. Take your bum back. Downward dog. We're leading with the left foot. Stepping forward. We're doing a twist again, so lifting the left hand. And take a few circles with the arm. We're going to let it lead us up into twist. So we're turning to the left side. And then hands come to the heart. We're going to hook that right arm over the left knee. I'm just going to move around so you can see what that looks like. Right arm over the left knee. If you wanted to lift the back knee, you can, but it's not essential. Keep breathing. We release by bringing the hands outside of the foot. We're stepping forward. We're coming up one last time. Big circle of the arms, little bend in the knees. And then hands come into the heart. We're going to rest for a moment. So just hold your standing position. Hands into the heart. It's nice to take a pause. You get to come back to that more focused awareness on the breath. So it's quite vigorous, quite fast sequence. You will feel quite likely some difference in the breath, but we want to still keep the breath through the nose. So really avoid breathing through your mouth unless you absolutely have to. We're going to come forward one last time. I'll just turn back to the front of the mat. Little bend in the knees, fold it down. And then stepping to kneeling. And then coming all the way to the floor. So we're on the forearms. We're just resting on the forearms. Let your legs and thighs and buttocks be quite heavy. I'm going to move them a little bit wider. Let your belly be relaxed and heavy on the floor. And your arms could come further in front of you if you find that you're pinching at all in the lower back. So maybe to begin with, you want to have the hands further forward. Focus on relaxing this lower back glutes area, thighs. When you sense that that has softened and relaxed a bit, then you can push into the floor and lift your head and chest. If you find that very, very comfortable, you can start to creep the hands in so they come closer towards your hips. You want to find a movement that feels very easy, light, like water, sort of flowing up and down. And then come down and completely relax your head down. You're going to come all the way back up to kneeling. We'll just do something nice for the hips, but quite slow and sort of gentle, slow and gentle for the hips. So we're taking the right knee, we're going to take it behind the right wrist, we're going to slide the left leg away, we're coming in down into pigeon. So you want to be really careful of that front knee. I'm just moving my camera so you see me better. So if there's any pain in the knee, take a blanket or something and support the buttock on that front leg so that you're lifted a little bit, there's less crushing of the knee. The other thing is maybe the foot needs to come back, maybe you can't take the foot too far forward. So we try to keep the hips even. So just notice if you're rolling over and can you even up the hips. You might find that actually you're not getting a strong sensation. Maybe you'd enjoy more sensation. So if that's you, the foot can creep up a little bit. And then you're on your forearms still, but you've got more sensation because the foot's further forward. So come up onto your hands and then roll over onto your buttock with the front leg, so the buttock, you're rolling onto that buttock. Now take the back leg forward. And we're going to do a little something else. It's a combination of a forward bend and something really good for the hips. So we take the bent leg, we're going to cross it over the other leg, can you line up your knees so that one knee is above the other? If that's not happening, take a blanket and support the top leg so that there's not a big gap. The idea is that we pad up the gap. And then the foot of the bent leg, we're going to tuck it in if you can. So the idea is you've got one knee roughly on top of the other knee, or at least if not, supported. You can also support the bottom leg. And we're going to come forward, so it's a forward bend. And it's pretty strong on this straight leg, and on the hip of the bent leg. So. And try and flop into this. We're going to come up. If you want to do homework this week, I love this. I think this would be a great thing to do. Just give yourself a good few minutes on each side. So we are we're taking that bent leg. We're going to bring it off the straight leg. We're going to take the front leg. We're going to swing it behind us. So we're back in pigeon. We're going to step into either kneeling or downward dog. And we're doing the other side, so taking the left knee, bringing it behind the left wrist, sliding the other leg away. Remember, I'm going to just move around so you can see. Remember, you can pad up, please do, the buttock of the front leg, because I don't want any pain in the knee at all. And perhaps you need to bring the foot back if it is painful. And for those who find it quite effortless, then the foot comes further forward and you're resting on your forearms. So listening to your breath, enjoy your breath. Really great to take these little pauses where you come back into your breath, real focus. So we're coming out, so walk your hands in, first of all. Now roll onto the buttock of that front leg. We're taking the back leg forward. We're going to cross the front leg over the back leg. Maybe I'll move around so you can see from a different angle what that's going to look like. So if you can, line up this top knee with the bottom knee. I'm very aware that not everyone's hips and knees will find that very easy. So get cushions, maybe more than one, so that you're padding up the gap between the knees. You can also have padding under the straight leg. The foot, can you tuck it in so it's more towards your bum? And if you feel you can, flex the foot of the extended leg, and then you're just folding down over the leg. And don't be, just find a way of really relaxing into this. To get more from this, you want to go as soft as you can rather than forcing. Try and really go to almost melting your body. And this is lovely, really. You should really, if you can, take a nice amount of time here. But if you are short for time, then probably it's better to come up. So we're going to unravel the legs. And from here into Shavasana. So let's do a bit of twisting. We're going to have the hands behind us. We're pressing into the floor. We're rolling the feet, the knees from left to right. Let's do this a few times, left to right. So when the knees go one way, can you lift your chest and turn your gaze to the other way? And then you get more from the twist. So when your knees go over, for example, to the right, you lift your chest and you turn your gaze to the left. And then from here, come into your Shavasana. So if there's any pain in the lower back, keep your legs bent. Take your body down nice and slow, vertebrae by vertebrae. If your head is tipping back, bring a support under the head, a cushion. And we're bringing the hands to the floor. Pull your shoulders down a bit. So squeeze your shoulder blades in, pull them down. And just letting everything go. Allowing your body to melt into the floor. No thinking.
And take as long as you need here.